So we had a little bit of history in the world of sports last night. Domingo German of the New York Yankees threw a perfect game. All right, so this was in Oakland, so obviously in front of a packed house. People just, hanging from the rafters to try and watch this game. The 24th perfect game in the history of Major League Baseball. So this is like a huge moment for Domingo German. And, they talked about a difficult week. I think, there was a death in the family. And for him to go out there and pitch the way that he pitched, just impressive to see him get it done. And the fact it's only the 24th time we've seen it in the history of Major League Baseball makes it even more impressive. So afterwards, his manager, Aaron Boone, talked about watching his pitcher work and getting to see history up close in person.
It was just so fun to watch him do that and go to work. And when he gets rolling like that, he's just so fun to watch at his craft, just because he's so good at commanding all of his pitches. His curveball was great tonight. I was actually pretty calm over there. Just enjoying watching him kind of paint a masterpiece.
Yeah. It's funny he uses the word paint. Considering this is a guy who was ejected once this season and was caught another time this season with a sticky substance all over his hands. Just saying. It is funny that, I don't know if what are we talking, like Dunn Edwards? Maybe, there used to be an old Pittsburgh paints company back in the day. Krylon, is that a paint company? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Listen, I don't know if he's into graffiti or any of that other stuff, but maybe he's just painting a house. But apparently Aaron Boone likes what he saw out of Domingo German. But in all seriousness, I actually think this is a heartwarming tale, and this is a good story to have a discussion about. And here's why. It just goes to show you, just because you cut a corner one time doesn't mean you're always going to be that guy. All right? Like, just because you speed one time on the freeway doesn't mean you're always going to be that person. Like, there's somebody right now who's going to get a speeding ticket at some point later on today. It's going to happen. All right? I watched somebody get a speeding ticket on my way in. It's going to happen. But just because you do it one time doesn't mean you're going to do it tomorrow or the next day or Sunday or listen, sometimes people just make mistakes and they deserve to be forgiven. And I think coming off a season in which the Houston Astros won a World Series, the fact that a guy who got ejected from a game because he had a sticky substance, which was described by the umpires as when they touched his hand, they had a hard time removing theirs. Now, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if if we're gluing Christmas lights up and he just had a little residue left over. I'm not really sure how that happens. That seems like some pretty impressive glue. It doesn't seem like the Elmers that you watched some weirdo in your class eat when he was a kid, and then you were stunned to find out at your 20-year reunion that he was a drug addict the entire time. Like, listen, that stuff happens. That is a possibility. But the fact that we saw somebody who got ejected from a game for cutting corners bounce all the way back and then throw a perfect game just goes to show you we don't know a diddly poo, in the words of Jim Mora, about what cheating really is. It's like when a player in the NFL gets popped 4 games because he's taking PEDs. And then you get DeAndre Hopkins who says, well, it was a shampoo I was using. It's why I never criticized the guy. Now, I've used VO5 before. I didn't get jacked afterwards. All right? I've used Pert Plus. I've had dandruff in my day. That's happened. All right? I've used Head and Shoulders. All right? I don't remember being able to power clean 700 pounds after I used some Head and Shoulders. I'm just trying to get rid of whatever the hell's going on the top of my head. But apparently to DeAndre Hopkins, he used some shampoo. And next thing you know, a guy pisses hot.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
Agreed, Jim. All right, Jim Moore may have cut a couple corners back in the day. Former Fox Sports Radio host. This is a judgment-free zone. And so the fact that we've seen the Houston Astros come back and win a World Series after they were banging on trash cans, and the fact that we got Domingo German, who a month and a half ago had a sticky substance all over his hands and was ejected from a game, which was the second time this year he had to be talked to about it, and he comes all the way back and throws a perfect game. Like, look, maybe Major League Baseball let it slide. Give these A's fans a little feel good on the way out. Yeah, we're going to build a stadium right next to the Luxor and the MGM Lion's Mouth. But you know what? Give them one last kind of send-off. Hey, you want a little bit of history? It's not going to happen because of you guys. Your team stinks. So here's a little bit of history. We'll let Domingo German use whatever it is he's got to use. Paint thinner, WD-40, like you name it. Cooking oil. Grease from a George Foreman grill and that little pan that comes off the bottom. Like whatever he's got to use, whatever substance he's got to use. You want to file down the baseball? Do whatever you need to do. You want to leave your nails in a way to where you look gothic, but it gives you a little extra spin on the ball? That's fine. Give these A's fans something on the way out. They've been through a lot. Look, I don't know. Maybe that was part of the deal here. But the fact is, it just furthers the point. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. Like, everybody wants to vilify Lance Armstrong. And no, I'm not going to get into Lance Armstrong's interview with Caitlyn Jenner because I don't care, okay? You guys can go get worked up about that all you want. But everyone looked at Lance Armstrong and were like, wow, he's a scumbag, and he's a cheater, and he's a fraud. And then you realize one of those Tour de France's, when they went back and looked through, they realized, ooh, everybody here's on the gas. All right, we got a brand new champion. It was like the guy who finished 28th. He gets a call one day, and it's from the Tour de France, like, congratulations on your Tour de France win. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm waiting tables now. What do you mean? You won the Tour de France. The other 27 guys in front of you pissed hot. They don't count anymore. When you find out a lot of people are doing it, kind of changes the way you feel about what actually cheating is and what cutting corners is. And so, look, I know Rob Manfred's not the most well-liked guy now, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, a little bit abrasive, doesn't realize when he's saying something that's a little insulting, like disrespecting the World Series trophy or telling A's fans, we appreciate you guys doing the reverse boycott. You had average attendance when you showed up to that game. I know he doesn't realize what he's actually saying as he sends Major League Baseball over to London. Like, I get all that. But this ought to change the way you feel about sometimes when people cut corners. Just because you do it once doesn't mean you're always going to do it. All right, yes, the Astros banged on some trash cans. All right, they may have had some sort of electric shock treatment on some of their players to where they were getting tipped off, when a curveball was coming. That may have happened, but it doesn't mean they're all scumbags, and it doesn't mean they're going to be scumbags for the rest of their life. Sometimes people just make mistakes. I know a lot of people out there who have dined and ditched. I've never done it, but it's a scumbag move. I was driving one time about a year and a half ago. Bunch of kids hiding behind a wall near my house pegged the front of my truck with eggs. All right, so like any rational human being, what did I do? Went to the house, grabbed a giant Phillips screwdriver and a blowtorch and said, what are we doing here? They were gone when I got back, but the reason why I was able to calm down in the moment is because I realized, you know what? I've been an a-hole too. I threw water balloons at people coming out of a movie theater when I was growing up in high school. So I said, I did it once. I'm a changed person now. And sometimes when people make mistakes, they change afterwards, and it's for the better. So congratulations to Domingo German, a guy who had radiator fluid on his hands, pitching in a game and was ejected for it a month and a half ago, and now makes history and throws a perfect game. I think it's a heartwarming tale.